Hi guys, I decided I'd go ahead and do a couple Bible stories for you. I just seen on the news here where there was a house fire in Chillicothe this morning or today, sometime. Anyway, they got in the house and there was also a meth lab inside of it. They arrested a 49-year-old man named David Stone, I think they said. Sad. And they said if it would have blown up, all those houses was so close together. You guys know if you live in a town like that, how close the houses are together. And it was right beside of a little playground and everything. That is so sad. That's horrible. Okay, guys, I just wanted to let you guys know that because I know a lot of you guys are from this. That's on the page are from the area and know where Chillicothe is. So I thought you guys might want to hear that little bit of news I just heard. But today's category is going to be giving. And I felt 3 stories. I'm going to try to, the second one or the third one's going to be the longest. But I'm going to try to get 3 of them done. If not, I'll only do 2. Because I don't want to make this video too long. Because I know you guys don't like them when they get really long. But this one is called The Bicycle Daddy Made for Me. And it was rated 6 out of 8 votes. I didn't know bikes sold in stores in shiny red and blue. My bike was made of junkyard parts my daddy sorted through. My brother and my sisters all had bikes that Daddy also made, and learning to ride my own bike was something that I craved. My daddy promised me a bike when I reached 6 years old. As that last birthday loomed ahead, my begging grew more bold. Finally, he went to the basement to build a bike for me, using all those rusted parts he picked up nearly free. The bike he built was very large for a little girl like me. So I had to learn while standing up. How hard could that be? With staunch determination I tried and took a fall, and I wished with all my little heart that bike was not so tall. But in time I learned to stand and ride, which made my daddy proud of how I took those many falls and never cried out loud. My bike was balanced perfectly, and I could ride no hands. After I grew tall enough to sit instead of stand, the bike was never shiny, and it really wasn't new, but it taught a little girl to have fun while making do. By Betty Kilbrew. I thought that was a good one. I tried to read through these ones for you guys like I told you I would to see if they was good before I read them. This one I just glanced at, so I'm not really sure about this one, but it's a short one. It's called The Golden Gift. Some time ago, a friend of mine punished his 3-year-old daughter for wasting a roll of gold wrapping paper. Money was tight, and he became infuriated when the child tried to decorate a box to put under the tree. Nevertheless, the little girl brought the gift to her father the next morning and said, "This is for you, Daddy." He was embarrassed by his earlier overreaction, but his anger flared again when he found that the box was empty. He yelled at her, "Don't you know that when you give someone a present, there's supposed to be something inside of it?" The little girl looked at him with tears in her eyes and said, "Oh, Daddy, it's not empty. I blew kisses into the box, all for you, Daddy." The father was crushed. He put his arms around his little girl, and he begged her forgiveness. My friend told me that he kept the gold box by his bed for years. Whenever he was discouraged, he would take out an imaginary kiss and remember the love of the child who had put it there. In a very real sense, each of us, our parents, has been given a gold container filled with unconditional love and kisses. For our children, there is no more precious possession anyone can hold. And don't say who it's written by, but I like that one. That just reminds me of the way a lot of kids are treated. It's so sad. I know kids in that position. They mean well, and I don't want to get into it, but that was... I want to read you guys this one. This is the long one. It's called Stevie. Let me see how... Okay, we're under 6 minutes so far. This one's a long one, guys, so this will be the last one I do today. Stevie. I try not to be biased, but I had my doubts about hiring Stevie. His placement counselor assured me that he would be a good, reliable busboy, but I had never had a mentally handicapped employee and wasn't sure I wanted one. I wasn't sure how my customers would react to Stevie. He was short, a little dumpy, and with smooth facial features and thick-tongued speech of Down syndrome. I wasn't worried about most of my trucker customers because truckers don't generally care who busses tables as long as the meatloaf platter is good and the pies are homemade. The four-wheeler drivers were the ones who concerned me, the mouthy college kids traveling to school, the yuppie snobs who secretly polished their silverware with their napkins for fear of catching some dreaded truck stop germ, the pairs of white-skirted businessmen on expensive accounts who uncomfortable around Stevie, so I closely watched him for the first few weeks. I shouldn't have worried. After the first week, Stevie had my staff wrapped around his stubby little finger, and within a month, my trucker regulars had adopted him as their official truck stop mascot. After that, I really didn't care what the rest of the customers thought of him. He was like a 21-year-old in blue jeans and Nikes, eager to laugh and eager to please, but fierce in his attention to his duties. Every salt and pepper shaker was exactly in its place. Not a breadcrumb or coffee spill was invisible when Stevie got done with the table. Our only problem was convincing him to wait to clean a table until the customers were finished. He would hover in the background, shifting his weight from side to side, scanning the dining room until the table was empty. Then he would scurry to the empty table and carefully bust the dishes and glasses onto the cart, and wipe the table up and practice flourish of his rag. If he thought a customer was watching, his brow would pucker with added concentration. He took pride in doing his job exactly right, and you had to love how hard he tried to please each and every person he met. Over time, we learned that he lived with his mother, a widow who was disabled after repeated surgeries for cancer. They lived on their Social Security benefits in public housing 2 miles from the truck stop. Their social worker, who stopped to check on him every so often, admitted they had fallen between the cracks. Money was tight, and what I paid him was probably the difference between them being able to live together and Stevie being able to be sent to a group home. That's why the restaurant was a gloomy place that morning, late August, the first morning in 3 years that Stevie missed work. He was at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester, getting a new valve or something put in his heart. His social worker said that people with Down syndrome often have heart problems at an early age, so this wasn't unexpected, and there was a good cause. He would come through the surgery in good shape and be back at work in a few months. A ripple of excitement ran through the staff later that morning when word came that he was out of surgery, in recovery, and doing fine. Franny, my head waitress, let out a war whoop and did a little dance in the aisle when she heard the good news. Bell Ringer, one of our regular trucker customers, stared at the sight of the 50-year-old grandmother of 4 doing a victory shimmy beside his table. Franny blushed, smoothed her apron, and shot Bell Ringer a withering look. He grinned. "Okay, Franny." "What was that all about?" he asked. "We just got word that Stevie is out of surgery and going to be okay. I was wondering where he was. I had a new joke to tell him. Why did he need the surgery?" Franny quickly told Bell Ringer about and the other truck drivers sitting at his booth about Stevie's surgery, then sighed. "Yeah, I'm glad he is going to be okay," she said, "but I don't know how he and his mom are going to handle all the bills. For what I hear, they barely are getting by as it is." Bellringer nodded thoughtfully, and Franny hurried off to wait on the rest of the tables, since I hadn't had time to hire a busboy to replace Stevie, and really didn't want to replace him. The girls were busy doing their tables until we decided what to do. After the morning rush, Franny walked into my office. She had a couple of paper napkins in her hand, and a funny look on her face. "What's up?" I asked. I didn't get the table where Bell Rogers and his friends were sitting cleared off after they left, and Pony Pete and Tony Tipper were sitting there when I got back to clean it off," she said. Then was folded and tucked under a cup of coffee. She handed the napkin to me, and 320 bills fell out onto the desk, and when I opened it, on the outside in big bold letters was printed something for Stevie. Pony Pete asked me what that was all about. She said, so I told him about Stevie and his mom and everything, and Pete looked at the paper napkin and had something for Stevie scrawled on the outside. 2 $50 bills were tucked within its folds. Franny looked at me with wet, shiny eyes, shook her head, and said simply, "Truckers?" There are good truckers out there. I know that because my uncle's a trucker and my dad used to be a trucker. That was 3 months ago. Today is Thanksgiving Day, the first day Stevie is supposed to be back to work. His placement worker said he's been counting the days until the doctor said he could come back to work, and I didn't matter at all that it was a holiday. He called 10 times in the past week, making sure we knew he was coming, fearful that we had forgotten him or that his job was in jeopardy. I arranged to have his mother bring him to work, meet them in the parking lot, and invite them both to celebrate a return to work. Stevie was thinner and paler, but couldn't stop grinning as he pushed through the doors and headed for the back room where his apron and busing cart were waiting. "Hold up there, Stevie, not so fast," I said. I took him and his mother by their arms. "Work can wait a minute. To celebrate you coming back, breakfast for you and your mother is on me." I led them toward a large corner booth at the rear of the room. I could feel and hear the rest of the staff following behind. As we marched through the dining room, glancing over my shoulder, I saw booth after booth of grinning truckers empty and join in procession. We stopped in front of a big table. Its surface was covered with coffee cups, saucers, and dinner plates, all sitting slightly crooked on dozens of folded paper napkins. "First thing you have to do, Stevie, is clean up this mess," I said. I tried to sound stern. Stevie looked at me and then at his mother, then pulled out one of the napkins. It had something for Stevie printed on the outside. As he picked it up, 2 $10 bills fell onto the table. Stevie stared at the money, then at all the napkins peeking from beneath the tableware, each with his name printed on it. It turned to his mother. There's more than $10,000 in cash and checks on that table, all from truckers and trucking companies that heard about your problems. Happy Thanksgiving." Well, it got real noisy about that time, and everybody hollering and shouting, and there were a few tears as well. But you know what's funny? While everybody else was busy shaking hands and hugging each other, Stevie, with a big, big smile on his face, was busy clearing all the cups and dishes from the table. Best worker I ever hired. By Jody Calas. And that was the last story for today, guys. This is getting on about 15 minutes. So I will stop for today. I love you guys. Let's bring those souls to Jesus. And I'll see you tomorrow with a new Bible reading. I love you guys. Bye.